So before we proceed, if somebody asks you, right, so what are the typical activities that a BA does? Let's say we take an example of, okay, you're upgrading an existing platform or a product or an application. So what are the different activities that a business analyst will do? Maybe if you're not comfortable speaking up, you can put it in the chat.
Sorry, can you repeat again, Ravi? Sorry, I'm off the track.
So what I'm asking is, let's say we are trying to upgrade an application, okay? And
Okay.
then so that is the business case, or we have the business requirement to upgrade an application. So what are the different activities a business analyst will do till the application is upgraded?
Okay. So first we will check with the business what are the functionalities you would be requiring for an application perspective.
No, initially they will check what is the existing BAU process and what.
Sorry, someone went on mute.
So I think basically we have to understand the current state of the product and what are the various enhancement we need to do as an update.
Yeah, yeah. Who's on Redmi Note 9S?
Sorry, I think it's mine.
Kadar, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were saying something, Kadar?
Yes. Actually, we need to first of all before it's upgrading. So the BA has to know that one, what is the existing functionality, that means the existing product, and what is the features of the BAU process. Accordingly, what implementation the business needs to be upgraded.
Okay.
So these two major parts, the BA has to do at the initial level.
Yeah, yeah, good points. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all for my side.
Okay. Anything from you, Anshuman or Sue or Pooja?
So it's like how to get those requirements from the customer and how to kind of utilize it, kind of prioritize it for the process to start.
Yeah, good points.
I have a point here, Ravi.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first thing when they say about existing upgradation, so they need to first check what's the problem with the existing system. Is it accommodating the new phase of the bandwidth of productivity work and efficiency? So these problem analysis have to do. So based on that, they will
Yeah,
write
correct. So
requirements. So this,
the as is study, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Pooja, you were saying something.
Yes, yes, I was just saying it's about the gap analysis of what are they looking for an upgrade and why are they looking for an upgrade, and then we'll find out the requirements and proceed further.
Yeah.
That upgrade is really needed or not. That is the first thing according to me to start with.
Yeah, correct. Okay, I think good input. So probably we'll kick off with this topic. So whatever you guys said is fine. So, but we need to formally structure it, and also from an interview point of view, right? So if you just explain it in like 1 or 2 sentences on what we do, so that would not be accurate. So probably so we'll go ahead and define end to end of what a business analyst does. Okay, so we're taking an example of upgrading an application, right? So when we upgrade an application, so first thing is we have business teams or the business users. So at any point of time, if you have any questions, so please feel free to ask. Okay, so this has to be interactive. So the first thing is there are various reasons for which you will upgrade an application, right? So the application could be running on a legacy software and you may want to upgrade it. Okay, or the application may be like running on end of life support due to an inherent software like Adobe Flash or maybe Microsoft Word, or maybe it's running on a legacy Windows operating system, probably, right? Or you may need to enhance your business, expand your business to new products, or advance your business to new areas for which you may have to upgrade, or you may have to uh, um, enhance your application with some new regulatory requirements for which you may have to upgrade, right? So there are various reasons, and in general, right, these reasons are like pre-known, okay, so pre-existing, and then they are like really evident, and a business analyst will typically not do a gap analysis to study between as is and to be. The gap analysis we'll do when we are trying to decommission an existing system and go with a new system, okay, so which is unknown to us, so that's when we majorly do gap analysis. But here in reality, the reasons for upgrade are pre-known, because when our business users, they have been using this application, right? So they know the problems in and out. Okay, so which is why we normally don't do a gap analysis. So the first thing that we do here is we we know what are the issues that we are facing in the application, and then we want to upgrade this application. Okay, so remember, I'm not referring to decommissioning this application and replacing with another vendor's platform. Okay, so that's not. So we know the application is good. We just wanted to upgrade it to the latest version, right? So for example, it could be a desktop application and we want to upgrade it to web-based application, probably something like that. So the first thing that we do is we prepare a business case. Okay. So what we do is we prepare a business case. In the business case, we'll list out what are the different reasons why we want to upgrade, and what are the opportunities, what are the risks if we don't upgrade, and how much is the additional expenditure that we need to incur when we upgrade. Okay, so we prepare all these details, and then we prepare a business case, and then so as a business analyst, right, you will be involved in preparing a business case. So we'll see a sample business case when we look at the artifacts, but business will fall back on you to identify, okay, so what is the reason why we want to upgrade, what are the benefits, what is the opportunity cost if you don't upgrade. So that's the first step. Okay. So then what happens is when we prepare the business case, we also work on estimation. Okay, so people will ask us, okay, so what is the approximate effort that it will take to upgrade the application? Okay, so we often have to work with a lot of unknowns and with very little details, right? So we have to give a t-shirt size estimate. So we'll study all of this, but we have to prepare a business case, and the business case, along with business case, we have to give a ROM as well. So ROM is something like rough order of magnitude.
So Ravi, this estimation is responsibility of a BA.
Yeah.
Okay.
So ultimately, because you have good knowledge on the application and you are an expert in interacting with stakeholders, right? Because when you have to do this estimation, you have to engage with a lot of stakeholders. Okay, so you have to engage with your business users, okay, and take the requirements from them. Then you have to engage with your infrastructure team, take the server related requirements from them. Then you have to engage with your security team and take the requirements on network related requests. Okay, so then you have to engage with your platform ops teams, take requests on the operating system that needs to be used. Okay, and then you have to engage with your database team on what is the database version that is compatible with this. So it involves a lot of stakeholder engagement, right? That's why this often comes to a BA. Okay.
So sometime I have seen in my experience, like we have a specific PMO, project management office guy, who's do all this kind of activity. They are in touch with the different SME. Like for example, architecture team, like security team and development team, or including QA and all. So they are taking input and prepare the consolidated estimation.
Yeah, correct. So traditionally, even in some of the projects, right, you have dedicated project managers or PMO analysts who can do. But if you look at the Agile or Scrum projects, right, and even in the traditional projects, the role of a project manager is actually diminishing, and you will rarely see a project manager these days. Okay. So that's why BAs are becoming more cross-functional and they are performing this estimation as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so then, so it depends on if the business case is approved, right? That's when we get the funding approved, and then we start the actual work on this. Okay, then what we do is we engage with the security and the solution architect teams, and then we help them come up with the HLSA. So anyone heard of what is an HLSA? So HLSA stands for High Level Security Architecture Diagram. So it's basically it gives, okay, so this is the application and what are the different upstreams and downstream that this application is connecting to, and how is it connecting, what is the mechanism of connection and all of that. So we prepare the architecture diagram of this application with the help of solution architect. Okay. And then
This is high level security.
Sorry?
The full form of high level security.
So it is a high level security assessment.
Or
yeah. So this is, so the outcome of this is an architecture diagram where we give a detail. Sometimes different organizations call it different. So it can be a solution design document or high level architecture document. But the idea is we come up with a high level architecture diagram on, so we already have the existing one, right? So we'll prepare the target HLSA. Okay, so once that is done, so we have the high level architecture. So the security team has approved and everything is in place. And then we kick off the requirements process. Okay, so the first thing that we do is we do the stakeholder analysis. So what I mean by stakeholder analysis is, so who are the different types of stakeholders with whom we'll be engaging? And so what is their interest level? What is their influence? And so how we need to handle them, how we need to engage them. So we basically prepare a stakeholder influence and interest matrix. So that we'll see when we're studying different techniques. But for now, just remember that we have to perform stakeholder analysis of all the stakeholders involved in the project. Okay. And then we start off with requirement gathering. Okay, so requirement gathering. So this is something that you're already familiar with, right? So we gather requirements. Then, so if it's an Agile or Scrum project, we write user stories, we write acceptance criteria. If it's traditional Waterfall, we prepare BRD. So we use various elicitation techniques. So sometimes if there are a lot of unknowns, we also send questionnaires. we interview people, we conduct brainstorming, workshop sessions. So all of this will cover in the BA techniques. But so we gather requirements and then we produce a business requirement document. Or if it's a Scrum project, we prepare a user story, and then we convert these requirements into functional specification documents. Okay, or if it's in Scrum, right? So you just write a user story and then convert it into a technical user story and then hand it over to your developer. Okay, so what a developer does is the developer will take care of any development, or it could be in software installation or configuration, etc. So all of this is done after the requirements are gathered and signed off.
Papa, are you done now?
Okay.
Papa, are you finished?
Any questions so far?
I have a doubt on that one.
Yeah, please go ahead. Sir.
Yeah.
That requirement documents, what you said, it is in BRD. That BRD actually is supposed to be, we get the requirement, right? Why we need to prepare that one?
Okay, so if you have a
requirement-
user who actually understands understands technology, right? Sometimes they give the requirement and then you elicit, you ask questions, because we need to remember that, okay, so we are from the IT team, right? So information technology team, and whereas the users are from the business side. Okay, the fundamental rule is a lot of times users will be users are like, think of users like kids or children. Okay, so they will have they have a wish list, and so they have a lot of problems, right? But sometimes they don't know what is their actual problem. Okay, so and then only when we keep asking questions, they will come up with the actual problem. So the fundamental or thumb rule is that the business users will own the problem and we own the solution. Okay, so sometimes business users may tell hundreds of problems. So when we actually interrogate them and elicit requirements from them, right? There may not be any problem at all, or they could be like one or two genuine problems. So even if they give us the requirement, right, we should consider this as a draft requirement. We should go back and ask all possible questions so that we don't have any changes to the requirement at a later stage, and we don't have scope creep, and we are not developing anything which is not usable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
so Ravi,
yeah.
I have one query here. So this particular process that you are saying, it is you told that this is already we have a issue and we are kind of going for an upgrade.
Yeah.
Application or system is there, so we are going for upgrade. Is it the same for a new project also?
For a new, right? So we it's slightly different where we do initially. So even before we have this business case, right? So we do the gap analysis. Okay, so we float an RFP, and so we do the vendor assessment and all of that before. So that's the difference. So here we are not looking for another vendor, right? So in case of a new product, so we gather the requirements and then we float a request for proposal to an external vendor, and we get their feedback, and then we prepare then we do the gap analysis, and then we do the business case. There are two more things before that.
Okay. So you will be putting it across in a different means different format, or with this only you means we will be kind of taking it up.
So we'll be covering those in, so when we
Okay.
are looking at
Okay,
the
no issue.
techniques and the artifacts, right? So we'll be looking
No
at,
issues.
yeah.
That's
Okay. Then we do the development, installation, and configuration of the system. And so what happens next is the developer will do the unit testing. Okay, so this is a very important.
One more query, Ravi.
Yeah,
So this sign off, this will be taken by the business, by the business analyst from the customer stakeholder, right?
yeah, correct. So from the users.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And so who does the unit testing? So this, a lot of people get confused that they think that a QA does unit testing or a BA does, but it's actually done by a developer. Okay, so I hope it's clear. And so once he does the unit testing, then what he does is, so he will deploy the code in deploy software for SIT, right? So SIT stands for System Integration Testing. And so once the software is deployed for SIT, so normally a QA or a BA will be testing this. Okay, so what we do in SIT is, so we have a system in place, but it will be connected to like multiple systems, right? For example, let's say if the system is sending an email to customer, so we have to check if it's connected to the email exchange server or not. Okay, or if we are getting some feeds from an external system, is that working fine or not? Okay, so all of that is performed by in the SIT, so system integration testing. So this is normally done by a QA or a BA. Right. So then once we clear the SIT phase, then we move to the, oh, why is this? So in case it gets disconnected, right, just join. I'll try to figure out this issue. It doesn't normally come. So in the so after the SIT is done, so the next phase will be UAT, which is the user acceptance testing. Okay, so UAT is normally done by the users, and a business analyst would be coordinating with the users to make sure that they don't have any issues. So he will be helping in setting up the environment along with the environment team, and clarifying any issues that user will face. Okay, so at any stage, if there are any issues, right, the requirement again goes back to the development stage. Okay, so for fixing, and then it goes through the same cycle. Okay, so once we do the user acceptance testing, what we do is, so normally what happens is when we do a user acceptance testing, so basically there'll be one or two users who will be nominated from the business side. They will be doing the testing. And then finally what we do is we consolidate this UAT results and the SIT results. And then we do we demo the test results. Or walkthrough.
Ravi, can you come again? Sorry, I didn't hear properly.
Which one? The user acceptance testing?
Yeah, after user acceptance testing.
So
What was
after so in the user acceptance testing, right? Normally so let's say you have a business team of 40, 50 people. Not everyone will be testing it, right? So there'll be one or two people who will be nominated for testing. So once they complete the testing, they then you will consolidate the SIT and UAT results and then walk through the test results with a wider audience. Okay. Then you get the sign off from them. Okay, so once the sign off is done, then you will formally organize a training. Okay. So you organize the training on the new application to the end user. So you will be coordinating with different teams and then helping in setting up these. Okay. And once the training is done, so you have to prepare for go live, right? And so what you do is you organize a meeting called go no go meeting. Okay, so the name of this meeting could be different in various organizations. So, but what you do in this meeting is, okay, so you give a whole holistic view of what you have done so far. And then, so you also say, okay, the test results are signed off and then everything is prepared. And then you ask the team to give a go, no go. Okay, so before you actually do this, so there is one more thing that you do. Sorry. Okay, so before you proceed with go no go, so you also prepare the run sheet or run book. Okay, so what this means is run sheet or run book is nothing but it's a set of instructions or steps that will be used to deploy or install the software in production. Okay, so in the actual environment that the users would be using. So normally a business analyst would be adding inputs to this, but a developer would be preparing in case it requires software development, right? A developer would be developing this, but a business analyst would be kind of making sure that it's complete. Okay, then we take all these artifacts and then we walk through the business users and ask them if they're fine to go ahead with the release or not. Okay, then so once you have a go on in this meeting, so if it's a go, then you prepare for two things, TVT and BVT. So TVT stands for technical verification testing, BVT stands for business verification testing. For example, let's say if we are upgrading an internet banking application, for example. So what TVT means is, so when we launch the internet banking application, the application, is it loading or not? Okay, so when the user logs in, is the application connecting to the database or not? Okay, so that is something that is done in TVT. But whereas BVT is done by the actual end user who's actually working on it. Okay, so BVT stands for business verification testing. So in this case of internet banking application, what happens is you can ask a customer to log in and transfer 1 rupee to some other customer. Okay, so you take a small amount and then you ask the final user to perform the actual business transaction. Okay, so
It's
that's
like a pre-prod testing, right?
Pre-prod testing. So after you, this is what you're planning here. So you're not doing the testing, but it's not pre-prod. So on production, you will be doing.
Yes, yes. The
Yeah.
production only, it's like some another clone copy.
Yeah. Not on the DR. So what happens? I'll tell you when we come to that step. So you will plan to do the technical verification BVT here, but I'll tell you why exactly we do that. So once we have this in place, so then we actually deploy this change, deploy in prod-like environment. So always remember that every organization and every application that you're working on, right? So let's say you see an internet banking application, HDFC has an internet banking application, right? So HDFC internally will have another application which is exactly like what you're using. Okay, so that is exactly like what you're using on a day-to-day basis. And this will be used to test before it actually deploys in the actual production version. Okay, so that version is normally called as pre-prod, or it is called as prod-like environment, or some organizations also call it a staging environment. Yeah. So once the deployment is done in staging, then you plan for the production deployment. Okay, so the software is,
So Ravi, sandbox and this stage, what is the exact difference?
yes, same actually. So
Okay.
sandbox, sandpit, and yeah,
Okay.
software is delivered or deployed in production. Okay, so production is the actual environment where the end user would be working on, right? So once that is done, this is
So
when,
Ravi,
yeah.
this UAT is user acceptance testing, and in under BVT we are just planning it, right? We are not actually testing the system.
Oh, we are testing. So that's what. So in these steps after the software is deployed, so what happens is you normally deploy the software during non-business hours or non-working hours, right? So for example, you deploy it on Saturday, or if it's a net banking application, you deploy somewhere around 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. when you don't have much traffic. So what happens is when we deploy this, it is a big risk that you wait for till next day morning, right? That some users come and then what if it's not working? You have an
Correct.
issue. So what we normally do is, so we do a technical test. We will ask some actual users to come in and log into the application after we deploy. So when there is very less traffic, and ask them to do a simple transaction. Okay. And then we have a technical support team. They will verify if everything is working as expected or not. Okay, so we'll do a simple transaction and then verify in production. And if everything is looking fine, then we'll say everything is looking fine, so no issues, right? But if we see any issue during this TVT or BVT, right, we will roll back the change. Okay, we'll roll